We have got some very exciting changes to imports and the way that we validate them. So the first thing you'll notice potentially is that we have some new statuses for imports. So you've got the completed, you've got the draft. Those are the pretty standard ones we've got. We've also got duplicate in here. This means that you have some duplicates within your spreadsheet that you decided you wanted to manage manually. So we're letting you know, hey, come and manage these manually. And lastly, the very, very new and exciting one is fixes needed. So what this means is that you've imported a spreadsheet that has some errors and our validation tool has identified those errors and has some suggestions for you to fix that up. So let's see how it works. So what I mean by the duplicate status is that if you are selecting a CSV file and you decide to tell Keela to check for duplicates by origin ID, primary email address, and full name, you have to tell us how you'd like us to handle those duplicates. Would you like us to automatically replace all fields and merge those together with existing contacts in your system? Or do you want to be able to choose which fields and manually manage those duplicates yourself? Now, if you selected this option and we identify duplicates, that's the status you're going to see. I'm adding contacts and I want to update fields. I want to replace all fields with existing contacts with whatever's in my spreadsheet. So I'm going to select this option. And this is the most common one that we see. Okay, let's go to save. And now you'll notice that this is looking a little bit different. So we still automatically match column headers with the headers in your spreadsheet. So really important for you to be reading our formatting articles if you're wanting to get that, or using our templates to make sure that you're getting the benefit of that. Next, you'll notice this kind of header section up here is a little different. So for starters, we've now included a step-by-step guide of the process that you're in. So you'll still begin in draft, but step 2 is validation, step 3 is import, and step 4 is checking for duplicates if that's the option that you selected. You'll also see a reminder up here of the duplicate management option that you selected. And of course, at any point, you can scroll down and you can change that. So I can see I've currently got it set to replace all, but maybe I do want to manage it. Maybe say, let me choose. Okay, I do. So that when I get to the end, if I have duplicates in my spreadsheet, I'll get that option in here. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, next comes the validation process. And this is the really big new change that we've made. In this step, Keela is going to check your spreadsheet against some rules that we have. And they're rules that are outlined in our formatting your data articles, whether it's contact data or donation data, volunteer data, no matter what it is, Keela's going to check for rules. And then Keela's going to present you with an error code and some of the rows that are affected. Now, you might have 10,000 records in your spreadsheet and all of them might have the same mistake. We don't want to be displaying 10,000 numbers here. So you're just going to get the first few. If you've only got one, then you know there's only one record that's affected, so one row. So that's really easy. But you might end up having a few with an ellipses or the sort of dot, dot, dot at the end. And if that's the case, I just recommend checking your spreadsheet and checking all the rows just in case you've got a few that are affected. So let's take a look. So I've got these errors. Oh no, my spreadsheet has errors and I need to make fixes. So what I would do is I would just compare these errors to my spreadsheet. So I'd open them up and I'd sort of flick back and forth. So first thing we've got is contact import requires at least one of the name, email, or origin ID fields. So if I go and have a look, I've got a clue here. I'm looking at row 2. If I jump in here, I can see that on row 2, it's right, I don't have any names, an origin ID, or an email address. So what would have happened before, if I had have uploaded this, a blank contact would have been created because we need at least one of these items to A, give a name or a way of identifying the contact, and to also B, I need this information when I'm checking for existing duplicates. That's part of that process. So I would probably come in here and I would say, oh, that's my mistake. This person's supposed to be called Bart Simpson. Now, in this case, if there was 100 missing names, what I might do is just filter. I might filter by, for example, blanks. So if I had a row in here that was blank, maybe I'd filter by that or something along those lines if I wanted to make sure that information. Next is birth date column with invalid date format in row 4. Let's take a look at that. Okay, row 4, I can see, aha, it is incorrect. In fact, both of these formats are incorrect. This is month, day, year, and this is just words. So in this case, I would go and check the formatting your contact data article in our knowledge base, or if I was doing donation data, I would do that, and I would check the accepted date formats that we have, because we have quite a few. These are just not one of them, and I would make that change. Lastly, the email column, there is an email that has an invalid format on row 5. So if I jump back in here, this is an example of what we need to have. What have I got? I've just got a website here. So I would either delete that or I would go and find Marge's correct email address and I would update that. So it's just a kind of last minute catch, a way of having someone on your shoulder telling you the correct kind of way to format just in case you've missed anything. We still definitely recommend checking out the formatting your data articles, and you can find those in our knowledge base. Under the importing your data section here, you've got all of these formatting articles that tell you exactly how those fields need to be done. Now, on that note, we do have an import validation error codes kind of article too. So if you're not sure, you can come in here and you can see these articles these errors that are available and get some more information on them as well. So that's the new import validation process. We've made some changes to the status of a transaction because we found that it just wasn't quite detailed enough to relay the information that our users needed. Was the payment successful? Was the receipt emailed? Was it mailed? How was it delivered? Are there any recurring donations that need bits and pieces of information? Was the recurring donation cancelled? All that kind of stuff. So what we've done is we've gone ahead and created some new statuses to clear things up. So let me take you through it. So you're still logging a payment uh, and having all the associations available, so nothing like that has changed. But you'll notice a receipting and payment tab have been added. So in the receipting options, you have a couple of different choices now for how you would like to create or deliver a receipt. So first, you can generate a receipt and send it immediately via email, and that will just be to whatever email address you've got down here. Next, you have the option of generating just a receipt for print and mail. So what this will do is it will create a receipt on your account, and if you want, you can then print and mail it. It's not going to automatically print and mail it out, of course. You'll need to do that step, but this is a good option if you're just wanting to generate a receipt but not send it out just yet. Next is generate a receipt and letter for print and mail. So that's great if you're wanting to have that customized letter at the front and then print and mail that out if you like. You can also skip receipting for now or ignore from receipting if you don't want this transaction to get a receipt. This is a good option if you know for a fact that a receipt has already been produced. Let's go ahead and generate just the receipt for print and mail. Now here I'm just going to enter a address. And we'll go ahead and we'll click next. And lastly, I have the option of choosing a payment method. Now this has been separated out because whatever you select here is going to affect the next steps. So if I select something like cash, credit card, check, bank transfer, or online, those options are just going to be for record keeping purposes. So if I select cash and click save, there's going to be nothing else. But if I select online via Stripe, it's going to give me the option of paying via Stripe. So I can use this for when I've got a credit card in my hand or maybe credit card details, I use this to process a payment. And the same goes for online via PayPal. This is you telling Keela, I'm wanting to process the payment right now online with these payment processors. Now, alternatively, if you know that the payment has been processed through Stripe or PayPal already, then you would say externally via Stripe. And that's you saying it was processed through Stripe. I still want to track that information, but I do not want to process the payment now. So that's those options. And of course, you've got other at the end, just in case you've got some really different kind of payment method. So I'll go ahead and I'll click save there. Now you're going to see some new statuses in here. We've got the transaction status. So what this does is it tells us if the payment has been paid, cancelled, failed, pending, unknown, or refunded. So because I've accepted this transaction, this donation, and I've created a receipt, Keela has labeled it as paid. This was received via a money order, and I've gone ahead and I've processed it. We've also got a receipt status. So we've separated those two. So I know it's been receipted because I created a receipt today. If I had skipped this, it would not, there would be no, it'd be unreceipted. There'd be nothing there. Delivery status lets me know if I've gone ahead and I've delivered that receipt yet. Now I haven't delivered it. I haven't mailed it out. So it's saying undelivered. If I have emailed it today, it would have said delivered via email. Now, if I come in here and I look at the associations, all of this can still be edited. That stuff is still exactly the same. We have a full list of all of the different transaction statuses, receipt statuses, delivery statuses, and recurring statuses that we've added in here as well as a full article in our knowledge base too. So you'll be able to get information on that. But things will be really clear and you'll be able to filter on this stuff as well. Previously, when you edited the two and added recipients, you would get a number of recipients you'd be contacting. But we've gone ahead and just added this number here as well now to make things easier. So just another place for you to see how many people you're going to be contacting. We've added 3 new fields or options to our contact profiles. So the first is Origin ID. So you'll now be able to view and edit the Origin ID if you imported your contacts with a specific number or a string of text from a previous system, for example. You'll be able to view and edit that in here. We've also added created date on the profile here. So this was previously viewable as a column. You were able to see that in here by adjusting the created and viewing that kind of here. But now you can see it on a contact's profile. And this is really handy if you're trying to figure out where a contact came from, because you can cross-reference this date with import dates to see if maybe it was imported or with a form. And of course, in subscription history, you always get a clue about where they came from as well. Now, the last option we have introduced is the ability to mark a contact as deceased. Previously, we recommended tracking this information as a custom field, but we did get a couple of requests for it. So we've gone ahead and introduced an option. So you can mark someone as deceased. And what this is going to do is it's going to automatically update subscription statuses so you never accidentally send their email address an email. So a really handy way of doing that. And then they'll just get this badge here that just lets you know that this contact is deceased if you're wanting to keep their profile on file for receipting purposes or kind of auditing purposes. So if you do have contacts marked as deceased by using this custom field, if you like, you can just filter by this custom field and then go ahead and mark them as deceased. You can also remove deceased status if it was ever made in error or if you just want to test it out today. So those are the changes we've made to contact fields. Lastly, we've introduced the ability to trial peer-to-peer for 14 days, similar to our automation trial. And now, if you are in a trial, you're going to see this little beautiful countdown as well to let you know how many days you're into your trial, how many days you have left if you sign up for an automation trial or peer-to-peer.